The way this is done subliminally is by using two M's. This is because the letter M looks like 3 sideways. So these sorcerers use two M's together to make 33. And here are some examples. I can see a Mickey Mouse, MM. And when you turn it sideways, it reads 33. And remember that Mickey is short for Michael. And Michael is 33 in Pythagorean numerology. And it's also interesting that Rocky's manager in the Rocky movie, which I've exposed in the past, his manager's name, his Jewish manager was called Mickey, remember? And I already explained his subliminal messages in the Rocky movies several years ago. And so, yeah, again, we have Mickey or Mickey Mouse here, and it's Mickey Mouse, MM, or 33. And when we look at the ears of Mickey Mouse, again, we see the same thing. We see the 33 shape made by his ears. And Walt Disney uses a lot of 33 numbers. 33 is in a lot of Disney productions. And I've already exposed many Disney movies on my past videos. On some of my earliest videos, I was talking about The Lion King and Aladdin and those kind of movies. And I've explained that they're all Illuminati movies, and we see an obsession with the number 33 in Disney programs. And also the names of some of the most famous Freemason actors, such as Marilyn Monroe, that who was a transsexual, whore or something, I don't know. So it's again MM, Marilyn Monroe, MM. Marty McFly, MM. Mike Myers, MM. And MM, it makes 33. Also, man-made laws, which the mainstream media constantly tells us are better and more important than religious laws. That if you're a moral person, you have to believe in man-made laws. And if you're religious, then you're immoral and you're crazy and you shouldn't take your religion seriously. You have to only follow the man-made laws according to the mainstream media. So again, MM, 33. There are numerous names and terms that add up to 33. But it's not just that. We see 33 constantly being associated with these satanic organizations and their products, such as Club 33 in Disneyland and George Soros spending $33 million, and is also constantly putting fake events and news stories. In fact, as I've said before, in 2006 I wrote an article predicting the outcome of the fake war between the Hezbollah and Israel in Lebanon. And I wrote this article during the war, during the so-called war that was taking place, and all of my predictions about this war happened exactly as I predicted it. The war ended exactly the way I predicted it in 2006. And I wrote that this whole conflict is fake long before all these videos about fake news on YouTube. I actually wrote this article all the way back in 2006. Okay, before all these, videos about fake news and Donald Trump talking about fake news, supposedly. Although he doesn't actually mean fake news. When he says fake news, he means biased news. But, the media is trying to associate the term fake news with Donald Trump. Trump even claimed that he invented the concept of fake news. As I said, Trump is trying to pretend to be me. He constantly copies me. I can show numerous examples of Donald Trump copying me. But anyway, he's trying to say that he came up with fake news, even though I was writing articles about it in 2006. And one thing I didn't notice back then is that the fake war between Israel and the Hezbollah actually lasted for 33 days. So do these Freemasons want us to know that they are faking these events? Why would they constantly use the 33 code if they are so secretive? Why is the news constantly coded with the number 33? Such as the term mass murder. We see this term constantly on the news, mass murder. Again, MM33. Like on 9/11, when Mohammed Atta, whom they say was 33 years old, supposedly attacked the Twin Towers with his 19 hijackers. Or the recent attacks in New Zealand, where supposedly a white Christian attacked a mosque that was owned by a man who was called Atta Muhammad, who was also 33 years old, and he supposedly died while defending his so-called mosque. This story subliminally sends the message that the attack was in retaliation for 9/11 and that it all came full circle. That Muhammad Atta attacked America and then Atta Muhammad was killed in retaliation, both being 33 years old. In other words, it was the fault of Al-Qaeda terrorists that now Muslims are getting killed and attacked by Christians. So the Muslims started it, and now the extremist Christians are retaliating. That's the message that they want to send to the majority of the public subliminally, because the majority of the public are susceptible to subliminal messages. There are some people, there's a minority whom they call conspiracy theorists, crazy conspiracy theorists, who can see through the propaganda, who can read the signs and can see the number 33 being repeated. But the propaganda for the majority is on a subliminal level. And that is why the two stories are so similar subliminally. 33-year-old Mohammed Atta attacks America and kills 3,000 Christians. Then a Christian attacks a mosque, killing a man named Atta Muhammad, also 33 years old. Sorry, he wasn't called Atta Muhammad, he was called Atta. His name was Atta. So you had Mohammed Atta on 9/11, and then we have Atta Elayan, whose name is Atta again, and he gets killed. And you see that the victims of the terrorism or the chaos or the 19, 19 is number of chaos, it's number of terrorism, like 19 hijackers, like the Taliban supposedly making peace after 19 years. 19 is the number of chaos, it's the number of Islam supposedly according to the Freemasons. It's the number of the Quran supposedly according to the fake, submitters cult. And so the 19 are the ones who kill the 33. So the 33 are the ones who are killed because of the 19. As we see this constantly on the news and on the media. And even Mohammed Atta, he committed suicide. He was a suicide bomber. So because of the ideology of the 19, the ideology of Islamic terrorism, the ideology of chaos, the 33-year-old got killed. And likewise, the 33-year-old Atta Elayan got killed in New Zealand, supposedly. So the 33 is the victim of the 19. 33 are the good guys, and or it's a good number who get it's number of order, it's number of the knights, and they get, and 19 is killing the 33. Do you see? And so now 33, the order has to go and fight against the chaos, meaning the 19. Clearly, the story is meant to turn Christians against Muslims and Muslims against Christians, both outwardly and subliminally. The news is all subliminally coded to make us think like the Zionists. But again, why the obsession with the number 33? Do they want us to know what is really going on? Is that why they keep using this number? Well, I don't think they want us to know, due to the fact that the vast majority of people don't know and are constantly deceived, and the majority of people are actually brainwashed by the subliminal messages.
A study by Facebook found information, including misinformation, can spread like a virus. Each person passes it along to almost two others. Fake facts in the wake of an epidemic is nothing. A study by Facebook found information, including misinformation, can spread like a virus. Each person passes it along to almost two others. Fake facts in the wake of an epidemic is nothing. Health officials are taking this infodemic seriously. The WHO is working directly with tech companies on a daily basis to flag and take down bad information. and to ensure that facts from reliable sources get to users first. Is taking new approaches to tackle.
And they don't see the pattern in these codes and numbers. And they are not just brainwashed by television, but also by the schools and the so-called education system. But even after they try to get away from all that and find the truth on the internet and conspiracy books, they then get trolled by the disinformation agents who try to lead them in the same direction as the media and get them to go back to watching TV or to becoming Zionists or serving the very same system eventually. The reason why the fake conspiracy theorists, who are themselves Ya'juj and Ma'juj, constantly talk about the number 33 is that on a subconscious level, these shills and disinformation agents are actually trying to make you like to join or support Freemasonry. In fact, some of them, such as Chris Geo, practically admit that they support the Freemasons. Yet at the same time, he and others like him pretend to expose the 33 code. Many of the shills I've exposed in the past also make videos about the number 33 being coded on the media. So, you see, the plan is that they want those of us who are not subliminally brainwashed by the media and who don't trust the news to also eventually join or support Freemasonry. Because the big secret that I want to expose for the first time on this video is that there is something special about the number 33, and I myself actually just recently discovered this fact. I believe that the reason why they want to associate themselves with this number is because this is actually a good thing. This 33 thing is something good. Or to put it more correctly, it has something to do with the fitra. By the way, for those who haven't watched my other videos, the fitra is our inner ability to feel the truth in our hearts. And I've made several videos about it before, such as the Soothsayer's conspiracy using Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you're already familiar with this concept, you can understand the rest of this video. If you don't, watch my Soothsayer's conspiracy using Arnold Schwarzenegger first to understand what I mean by the fitra. Or watch my video titled What Are Subliminal Messages first. And you can understand what I mean by the fitra, and you can understand the rest of this video, inshallah. Before I explain what this whole thing is really about, let me first explain something important about numbers. The number system, even in the West, is known as Arabic numerals. The reason is that the Arabs literally invented mathematics after they became Muslims. And the numbers used in Europe and America and most of the world are very similar to Arabic numbers, and were in fact copied from the Arab Muslim mathematicians. So the question is, why didn't they just use the exact same numbers as the Arabs? Why did they change some of the numbers? They left some of them, such as the number 9, the same as it was in Arabic. And some numbers are very similar. But for example, in my country, Iran, we use the exact same numbers as the Arabs. Even though we use Persian words for the numbers instead of calling them by their Arabic names. But when we write the numbers in numerical form, we use the same numbers as the Arabs. We write the numbers in the same way that the Arabs use them in mathematics. When we're writing, in mathematics books, we use the exact same numbers. So why did the Europeans who copied the number system from the Arabs, why did they change some of the numbers? For what reason? Now this is the amazing part. I've concluded that the only reason they changed the numbers was to serve Satan. And I mean that literally. Because remember, there was no logical reason to change these numbers, as changing them just made it harder for Western people to read the books of Arab mathematicians. So what purpose did it serve to change the numbers? The secret reason why they changed the numbers was actually a satanic reason. We know that Satan runs the governments and the media of the kuffar. And I mean that literally. Satan literally is running things. And so these big decisions, such as changing history, lying about the news and world events, the reason why it's so coordinated and all governments go along with it is because Satan is literally running all these governments behind the scenes. And that's why you have so many actors in politics pretending to be real people. You know, that's why they use terms like acting president. That's a literal term. When they say acting president, it's because the president is literally acting. They're not real. And the reason why they're not real is that there is an actual ruler behind the scenes, and that's literally Iblis or Lucifer or Satan. And this was also Satan's plan, because if you write 33 in Arabic, you won't get the same shape as you would with the English numerals. You see, it's the English number 3 that resembles MM. But if you write it in Arabic it has an extra line that prevents it from being MM. It has this big line here. But the English one is similar to the Arabic, but without that line, so that two M's become like 33. And I've concluded that it's the shape that's important for them, not the actual numbers. It's not really about the numbers. It's not really about the number 33. It's about the shape of 33. How do I know this for sure? Because they keep using MM, which is simply in the shape of 33, but it's not actually 33. So this shows that they are copying the fitra by copying this shape. So there is something that these people are copying, and the thing that they are copying has the shape of 33 or MM. Okay, so it's the shape that they are copying, not the number. That's why they also write it as MM. So what exactly are they copying? What is it that is in our fitra, that is in our original subconscious, the subconscious that we are born with, our spiritual subconscious, that these Satanists are copying? And they want to instead associate it with Freemasonry or with other things. What are they copying? And I'm going to reveal to you right now. Here's the secret. The seal of the Messenger of Allah, Muhammad, peace be upon him. See this? It says Muhammad Rasulullah, but when you turn it around like this, what do you see? 33. Or like this. You see? This is the stamp or seal of the Prophet. But here you see 33. You see it? You got the 3 here, and you got the 3 there. There. The S of the Rasul and Allah. You see, it looks like 33. It's not 33, but it looks like 33. Because this is what they're copying. This is what they're actually copying. With their W's and with their M's, M, W, W. This is what they're copying. Muhammad Rasulullah, the stamp or seal of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This is the real symbol of Islam, by the way. And this is a real Islamic symbol, not the crescent moon and obviously not the 6-pointed star and other, Sufi and Shia symbols. This is the real Islamic symbol. This is the actual stamp of the Prophet. This is also why they also turned the 3 to its side after getting rid of the line, so that when you write 33 next to each other, they would be facing each other, just like the S in the word Rasul facing the L's in Allah in the Prophet's stamp. So you see, the reason why they changed the Arabic numerals a little bit was so that when they write 33, it would look like the stamp of the Prophet, and thus it would copy the Fitra. And as I said, it's not really about the number 33. In fact, most of the time, instead of 33, it's MM, which has the same shape as 33 or Muhammad Rasulullah. You see, it's all about the shape. It's not about the number 33. So it's not really about numerology. It's not really about what they tell you is about, what many of the shields and disinformation agents tell you is about. And here you see Mega Man. Again, Mega Man, MM. And we see that it's red and blue. The red and blue, the yin and the yang. So it's the same red and blue Freemason propaganda. But also we see the so-called 33 or MM. So yes, the fact that they usually use MM instead of numbers proves that it's all about the shape. And here, of course, we see more money, which is again MM, and McDonald's. And McDonald's going all the way back to 100 years ago. We see that they were using this propaganda a long time ago. The evil McDonald's company that sells you meat from animals that are mistreated, and they're also really harmful for you. They sell you many foods that are, they're both hurting the public and the animals. This extremely evil company that's everywhere. You can see it in every city, in every country. They are also 33 or MM. And of course, Marilyn Manson. And here we see WWE or WWF. And that's why they always keep it as WW. Whether they change it to WCW, WWE, WWF, it's always WW. Because W has the shape, that's the same shape as M. So WW is like MM or 33. So this again shows that it's not about the numbers, it's all about the shape, whether it's WW or MM or 33. And of course the internet and phone company EE. Again, EE has the same shape as 33. And so now you understand why they refer to their highest ranking people in Freemasonry as Master Mason. Master Mason, MM 33. And you also understand why in the Power Rangers the Megazord has 2 M's on his body. And I remember when we were kids, we used to argue with each other in the playground, like, why does Megazord have 2 M's on him? It's Megazord, so it should be MZ. But when you look at the letters on Megazord, it's MM instead of MZ. Megazord. So why are there 2 M's on him? MM 33. And here's just a place where they sell wine and alcoholic drinks, intoxicants. And what do you see? 33. So again, they're trying to deceive you through your fitra. By confusing your fitra, they're trying to bring you into these places so that instead of you becoming a Muslim and you doing the right thing and avoiding intoxicants and gambling, you do these things. And as I gave the example a long time ago on my Soothsayers Conspiracy video series, we see the same thing with gambling as well. So both with drinking and gambling. And so that's why here we see that it says Mecca, bingo. Mecca. Where is Mecca? Mecca is the city where Muslims go to perform Hajj. And we see that there's a circle around it, like when we go on Hajj and we go around. We have to go around the Kaaba during the Hajj. And so we see that there's a circle around the square. So they're going around the Kaaba. And now you also understand why they mispronounce it and they transliterate it as Mecca, even though it's actually Mecca, not Mecca. Do you know why they write it as Mecca? Because M is like a 3 and E is also like a 3. It's shaped like a 3. So that's why they changed it from Mecca to Mecca, even though in Arabic it's actually Mecca. And one of the biggest examples is Super Mario. The Super Mario games constantly have this 33 or MM coded in them. Constantly, you see this in so many Super Mario games, not just in a few of them. And usually you see that when they're missing an M, they add an M on Mario's hat. So they write Mario and there's also an M on his hat, which makes 33. So if they don't have enough M's, they just have an extra M on the hat of Mario. And of course you see the ball earth of the Freemasons. And here we see Mario Maker MM. And here we see Mario is missing, so MM. And here we see that there's an M on Mario Bros, but there's also an M on Mario's hat. And Mario, Super Mario World, again, there's an M on his hat to make MM. Mario Galaxy, M on his hat to make 33. You see MM. And here we see the bricks, the Freemason symbol of the bricks. And here we see the chess floor of the Freemason Lodge. And here we see a Freemason hat. That hat that Mario is wearing, that hat is a Freemason hat. The Freemasons actually wear this hat. If you watched my other videos about the concept of fitra, you might remember that I explained that Satan wants to subconsciously make people think that their religions are the true religion, so that they won't go searching for the truth. And so he wants them to think that they are already following their fitra. And this is how people become misguided into following other religions besides Islam, or joining the Freemasons. Now you know why they changed Freemasonry and made it into 33 degrees, even though the original Magi had only 7 degrees. And why they fabricated a fake Avesta which tells the Persians to worship 33 gods. And why the Freemasons themselves pretend to expose themselves on the internet. And one of the main things that these shills or disinformation agents focus on is how everything Masonic is coded with the number 33. That's why they keep focusing on this. In fact, this isn't even a secret. As you can clearly see, the Freemasons themselves openly put the number 33 in their logos. And it's not hidden in some code or in another language, like in Latin or Hebrew. It's openly written in English. So these shills or disinformation agents on the internet and fake conspiracy books in most bookstores aren't even exposing a secret. They're just pretending to expose secrets. But in reality, they are telling you exactly what the Freemasons want you to hear. You see, because most conspiracy stuff is actually fake. Especially the ones they make so famous, the ones that they promote, the ones that you see all over the bookstores, all over the media, the ones that they interview on television. And then, of course, the mainstream media makes fake documentaries about Freemasonry, where they tell people that the Freemasons are not secretive. And look, everything they do is in the open. Which is sort of true, because the people who pretend to expose them on TV only talk about the things that are being done in the open. They don't reveal the actual secrets. And so that reinforces the mainstream media narrative that, look, they don't have any secrets. If they had secrets, why is it that everything that you're talking about is right in the open? Why is it that the things that people like Webster Tarpley or Alex Jones or David Icke are talking about are in the open? They're just repeating what's already in the news. They're not revealing anything. They're just telling you what was already on TV. They're just re-reporting the news with a conspiratorial narrative. And then the Freemasons themselves, they come up and say that the conspiracy theories are false because they do everything in the open. And it's all in their books and it's not a secret. But the truth is that they have many secrets. It's just that these famous conspiracy theories that they want us to know about don't actually reveal their secrets. Because these people themselves are Freemasons. People like David Icke and Webster Tarpley, they're them. It's them. They have their own people pretending to expose them. They're actors. They're pretending to expose their secrets. The Freemasons have many evil secrets, but the shills pretend to expose the very things that the Freemasons themselves want the public to believe. and their lower level Blue Lodge members also to believe. So they only tell you things that they might tell you things that the average person doesn't know, but they won't go any further than telling you the things that the Blue Lodge Freemasons already know. So if it's something that's secretive even within Freemasonry, that even the Blue Lodge members don't know, they don't expose them. At most, they only expose the Blue Lodge lower levels of Freemasonry, which is not really exposing because anyone can join the Blue Lodge. That's not very secretive. And so they do. And one of the reasons why these people do this is so that even the lower ranking Freemasons who are working for the Satanists, so that they won't know what's really going on either. Because if someone comes up and actually reveals their secrets, it might cause a rebellion within Freemasonry itself. Or within, Shiism itself. The average Shia might rebel against Khamenei if they find out that Khamenei is a Zionist. So you see, they're not allowed to know that Khamenei is a Zionist, but they're allowed to know, something that, the stuff that the Saudi TV channels talk about. The Shias are allowed to know that the Saudis consider them to be innovators, for example. But the Shias are not, the average Shia is not even allowed to know that Khamenei is a Zionist. That's why none of these fake Sunni TV channels talk about the fact that Khamenei is a Zionist. They all say that, Shiism is innovation, bid'ah, but then they call everything else a bid'ah as well, not just Shiism. So that's how it works. They have people who only, when they expose something, they only expose the lower levels. They only expose things that aren't really secrets. At most, they expose things that are not secrets, but they're just not very well known. So that's why many people trust them. They say, I didn't know this about Freemasonry. I didn't know this about Shiism. Look, this Saudi TV channel told me something about Shiism that I didn't know before. Yeah, but if you had only read a few books, you would have known it. That's not a secret. If you just read Usul al-Kafi, you would have known it. So it's not a secret. If you just done a little bit of research, you would have known it. So the stuff that they're exposing are not actual secrets. They don't go after the actual agenda, like the war between the Shias and Israel being fake. Those are the big things. Those are the big secrets that none of them expose. So you see, the real secret isn't that Freemasons have 33 degrees. Many Freemasons themselves admit this, as did Albert Pike himself. No, the real secret is that the 33 is really a form of sorcery, where they are copying the Fetra. They are copying the truth in order to misguide people into sympathizing with them or even joining them. That's the real secret, not the flat earth versus the ball earth garbage that we see all over the internet, especially in the past 5 years. Now here's a question. What's the biggest religion in the world that uses the Western number system? Of course it is Christianity. And guess what? Christians are told that Jesus was 33 years old when he was crucified. In fact, there are countless books and articles on the internet claiming that Jesus was 33, and many people on the media keep saying this. And the reason, of course, is that once you think Jesus was 33 when he was crucified, then you think that he was the final prophet. In other words, your Fetra includes the seal or stamp of the prophet, which looks like the English number 33. And so when you are told that Jesus was 33, then that confuses you about your Fetra into thinking that Jesus is the final prophet. And so you already belong to the correct religion. Just as I explained before that many Christian leaders lie by telling their followers that the Bible is the perfect word of God and that it cannot be changed, even though there is endless evidence that the Bible has been changed many times throughout history. And the Bible itself says that the Bible can be changed and that God will punish those who change it. It never says that it's impossible to change it. So why do these Christian preachers keep saying this? Because that's what the Quran is. The Quran cannot be changed, and the Quran actually says that Allah will protect it. So likewise, this is Satan's trick to make Christians think that the Bible is the Quran, which they can feel in their fitra. And if you don't believe this, that Christians have confused the Bible with the Quran in their hearts, and think that the things that are in the Bible are actually in the Quran and vice versa, if you don't believe this, then search for this German video titled "Bible Disguised as Quran, Shocking Social Experiment." It is a short video and it's subtitled in English, and when you watch it, you'll see that this is literally the mind control that many Christians are under, because of their churches, because of their schools, and because of television. So they actually think that the things that are in the Quran are in the Bible, and the things that are in the Bible are in the Quran. You see that they've confused these two books together. That's how Satan tries to confuse you about your fitrah. So likewise, the stamp of the Prophet says Muhammad, Messenger of Allah, which looks like the Western number 33, which was invented after Islam. So after the seal of the Prophet, after the stamp or seal of the Prophet. So when Christians are told that Jesus is 33, they feel in their heart or fitrah that Jesus is Muhammad Rasulullah, and so they think they are already upon the final true religion, even though the Bible never even says that Jesus was 33 years old. Of course, this is their own fault for not bothering to even read their own Bible, because if you believe that the Bible is the perfect word of God, you should be reading it very, very often. I mean, we Muslims read the Quran every day. But these Christians who, this is the hypocrisy of the Christians, that they claim to love the Bible so much, and they keep talking about how great the Bible is, and yet most of them have never actually read the entire Bible, and they don't read it every day. Yet they claim that they believe it's the Word of God. If it's the unchanged Word of God, then why don't you keep reading it? In fact, I read the entire Bible myself when I was 17 years old, even though I'm Muslim. So you Christians who are listening to this, you won't have an excuse for your ignorance on the Day of Judgment. Because on the Day of Judgment, if God asks you, why didn't you become a Muslim? And you say, well, I thought that the Bible was true. And then the next question is going to be, well, how much of the Bible did you read? Well, I read the Gospel of Matthew once. Well, and you thought that the Bible is the perfect word of God, and all you read were just a few pages? And all you did was watch a few Hollywood movies about Jesus? But really, Christians, if you don't convert, or at least read your own Bible, you will have absolutely no excuse on the Day of Judgment. By the way, I also discovered that this whole deception took place a long time ago. In fact, Imam Tabari records in his history book that during his time, the Christians were saying that Jesus was crucified at the age of 33. So this shows that Satan came up with this plan not long after the advent of Islam and the invention of mathematics by Muslims. Not only that, but Tabari also records that the Christians assert that Jesus was born 303 years after Alexander conquered Babylonia. What a coincidence, huh? He was 33 and was born 303 years after Alexander. And remember, many people don't know this, but at that time, Christians used the calendar of Alexander the Great. They were not using the modern calendar. The modern calendar is completely fake, as I explained on my other video, and many people have discovered this, that the modern calendar is actually fake. We are not in the year 2020. They add 1,000 years to it, and this whole entire calendar was actually faked 800 years ago. the early Christians who were known as Nasarians or Nasara, they used a different calendar, a completely different calendar that had nothing to do with Jesus. It had nothing to do with the birth of Jesus. And Jesus was not born 2,000 years ago. Inshallah, I will explain this later. But he was not born 1,000 years ago either. Jesus was not born 2,000 years ago. And for those who say 1,000 years were added to history, and so Jesus was born 1,000 years ago, that's not true either. Jesus actually lived a very, very long time ago, more than 2,000 years ago. A lot more, actually. But that's for another video. But why were the Christians at the time of Tabari making these statements that Jesus was born 303 years in the year 303 of the Alexander calendar, and that he was 33 years old? Well, Imam Tabari also quotes a few stories about Jesus which you may think are Islamic stories, but they are actually from the Nasara, or in English they were known as Nasarians, who were the earliest sect of the Christians. In fact, the word Christian is like the word Hindu and the word Buddhist. These are not real religions. Buddhism, Christianity, and Hinduism are not real religions. The Buddhists are Magians, and the Christians are Nasarians. Those are the real ones. The ones we have today, they're fake. Even the Islam that we have today is fake. Islam is a fake religion too. It's really Islam, not Islam. And today we're told that Muslims have to choose between Sufi and Wahhabi, Shia and Nasri, but all of this is fake. The real Islam is completely different as well. And the Christianity at that time was known as Nasorian. Okay, and Muslims often narrated stories from other religions in their history books. Imam Tabari narrates many Israeliyat. These are stories from the Bani Israel or from other religions, from the Nasara. This is why none of them are narrated from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ahl baytih. None of these stories that you see in this chapter of Tabari on this page are actually narrated from the Prophet. So these are not ahadith. These are not hadith. And one of these early Christian stories says that Jesus died at 3 o'clock. Wow! So here we have another coincidence. He was 33 years old, and he was crucified when he was 33 years old at 3 o'clock in the year 303 after Alexander. And as I explained on some of my earlier videos, Orthodox Judaism is very much against the Fitra, and they are also against following the heart. They actually admit in their own books, they actually admit over and over again that they are against following your heart, and they are also against rainbows. But they are also against sorcery. You see, and they're against good things and bad things. They are against art, they are against music, and so they are basically against everything. And then you have the Freemasons and the sorcerers and the Hollywood and television that promote art and music and creativity and rainbows, but they associate all these things with evil. So they have all this satanic music and all these satanic movies and satanic cartoons and animation, and they associate rainbows with homosexuality and with transsexuality, and they associate everything with something that's satanic and sinful. And then we have the opposition, the so-called opposition, the Orthodox Jews, who say all of this is bad, everything is bad. It's not that this form of art is bad, but that art is bad. It's not that this type of, it's not that we're against these gay rainbows, but we're against rainbows in general. You see, this is done to confuse your fitra. So little children, they go to the toy section, and they love the toys, and the little kids' toys have rainbows on them in order to attract children, because children, by their natural inclination, they are attracted towards rainbows. it's not that the media attracts them towards rainbows, it's that they are naturally attracted to rainbows because they can feel there's something good about rainbows in their hearts. They don't know why, but they feel something positive about rainbows. And as I said before, rainbows are actually the symbol of Islam. But when the media then says that no, rainbows are the symbol of homosexuality and religion is against rainbows, then that makes the children also end up sympathizing with homosexuality instead of religion. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, let the Jews of Medina, let the Yahudis of Medina know that we allow music. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the summary of the narration. So why did he say that let the Yahud or the Kabbalist Jews know that our religion, Islam, allows music? Because these Yahudis infiltrate other religions and create the same fake duality or yin and yang. You know, everything is forbidden or everything is allowed. If you want to have joy in your life, you must become a liberal and be a sellout and support sorcery and occult rituals, and you must love Satan. You must love everything including Satan, and you must be sexually perverted. And if you don't do these things, if you don't support these things, then they're gonna push you in the opposite direction, where you will be forced to marry someone you hate, and you get beaten up and bullied and harassed and molested, and they will take everything away from you, and they will not have any care about your possessions and your rights. They will, just walk inside your home in the middle of the night and harass you, and they will mistreat you over and over again, constantly bully you. But you have to understand that it's the same people doing these things. It's not a different group of people. And this is the trick that they try to use on me over and over again. I used to tell them, I know you're working together, man. I know you're the same people. But they kept bullying me. When I was in Iran, the so-called religious police kept bullying me for no reason. I wasn't even doing anything. I was all alone. And they kept bullying me like, oh, you're here with your girlfriend. Like, who's my girlfriend? Where is she? I was alone in the park, and the religious police kept accusing me of having a girlfriend, even though I wasn't even talking to anyone. But you see, that's what they do. They keep trying to harass you in order to push you towards the satanic, liberal, perverted side instead. But of course, they're afraid that we might expose them and say that, well, this is in Judaism. That's not in our religion. That's in your religion. So they try to make other religions become anti-fitra too, especially the religion of Islam, because they know that Islam is the true religion, that it is the only uncorrupted holy book. The Quran is the only book that they cannot corrupt. So they try to alter Islam and make it into a religion that contradicts the fitra as well, similar to Orthodox Judaism. Unless, of course, we take the liberal path, the liberal Sufi path, which is the same as Kabbalist Judaism or the Yahudi religion. Or, liberal Shiism, which is also the same as liberal Sufism. They both follow Ibn Arabi, they both follow Rumi, and so on. Or Madkhali Salafism, those Salafis who support the Saudi kingdom. Or Freemasonry, or Rosicrucian Christians, Democratic Americans, left-wing Iranians, and many other examples. And so these are the alternative that they want to portray as the good guys. Like, if you want to be free, if you want to get away from our oppression, if you want to get away from, being bullied and forced marriage and having everything taken away from you and having no rights to your property and so on, if you don't want that, then you have to go towards these ideologies instead. These Kabbalistic ideologies, or these liberal Illuminati ideologies. By the way, this is why there are so many Orthodox Jews in Israel, even though they claim to be against the Israeli government. This just goes to show how fake they are. They are there as part of this reverse psychology manipulation. That's the real reason. You see, the Israelis look at how strict and intolerable these Orthodox rabbis are, and so they decide to remain liberal Zionists in opposition to these annoying people. And if you want to know who the good Jews are, for example, look at the Samaritan Jews, who are the Jews of the Middle East, or the Kalimis in Iran, who refused to go to Israel, who refused to support Israel and join Zionism. Those are the normal Jews. But these Orthodox Zionists who pretend to be against the Israeli government, yet at the same time they support Zionism, these people are fake. These people are part of the yin-yang agenda. These people are basically the reverse psychology to push people towards liberal Zionism, and also to say that, see, you can support Israel and still, you can be a Zionist and still be religious. So just because you're religious, it doesn't mean that you have to avoid being a Zionist and living in Israel. The real religious Jews are the ones who refuse to go to Israel and completely oppose Zionism in all its forms. You see, even though Judaism and Christianity have been corrupted, and there are many verses in the Bible that these Satanists can use to manipulate Jews and Christians with, there are still some good Christians and Jews who have good intentions and don't intentionally and constantly play this yin versus yang game. Same goes for the Sunni Madhahib and the Salafis, the real Naqshbandis and Zaydis. They are all manipulated, but not all of them are fully controlled, and they have a lot of truth in their books. But only the real Islam based on the Quran and those ahadith that agree with the Quran gives no excuse to these Yahudi and satanic secret societies and leaves no door open for deception. And the reason why I'm talking about Judaism so much here is that I want to show you another example. You see, so far we looked at Freemasonry and Western Christianity, the fake Christianity of today, not the Nazarians, but the Western Christians, and seen how they are using the number 33 to deceive people about their fitra and make them become Christians and Freemasons. But then we have people who are against the number 33. And this is what we find in the Talmud of the Jews. In the Talmud it says, at 33 years Balaam the lame was killed. So the false prophet Balaam was killed at the age of 33. And in fact, many Jewish rabbis themselves have admitted that Balaam here is referring to Jesus, because much of the Talmud was written after Christianity and even after Islam. So these rabbis used to do taqiyya similar to the Shias. And just as the Shia books refer to Abu Bakr and Omar as the first and the second, sometimes in the Shia books they call Abu Bakr and Omar the first and the second, and in Iran they refer to them as Avvali o Dovomi, and this is a taqiyya so that we won't know who they're talking about, so that the Sunnis won't know. But when the Shia say the cursed, may the first and the second be cursed, they wouldn't know that they're talking about Abu Bakr and Omar. Okay, so when the Shia say the first and the second, they're talking about Abu Bakr and Omar. Likewise, when the Talmud refers to Balaam, according to many scholars, including many Jewish scholars, this is a secret reference to Jesus. So the Talmudist Jews hate Jesus, and they also hate the number 33. And that's why many of the shields on the internet, many of these disinformation agents, slowly try to make you support Israel, and they keep quoting mostly the Old Testament, and sometimes they even mock the New Testament, as I showed in the example of Roshan Ritz, where he was mocking the New Testament. He was saying Hillary Clinton is saying, my God, why Satan, why have you forsaken me? So he was basically associating Jesus with Hillary Clinton and the God of Jesus with Satan. And then he started, praising the Israelis and saying how the Israelis are helping him reveal the truth. And, apparently no one in the world is helping, into conspiracy theories except the Israelis. No Muslim is making videos, no Muslim is talking about conspiracies or Illuminati, but the Israelis are, according to, these people like Russian Wits and Vigilant Christian and so on. They want us to think that the Israelis are the most active conspiracy theorists, and they want to censor everyone else. So you see, they want us to associate conspiracy theories with supporting Israel. Why is it? Why is it that they want to associate it with the Old Testament and with Judaism? It's because Judaism is against the number 33. So if you're against Freemasonry, if you're against the number 33, then you have to be associated either directly or subliminally with Judaism and with the Old Testament. That's why many of these disinformation agents are very pro-Old Testament. They rarely quote the New Testament, at least not in context. But they most of the time they're quoting the Old Testament, and sometimes they even mock the New Testament. But you have to mention that many historians and researchers know that Balaam, as I said earlier, Balaam is referring to Jesus because, for example, the Talmud also says that Balaam's mother was of noble descent, even though the biblical Balaam wasn't even an Israelite. He was not one of the sons of, he was not a Bani Israel, he was not one of the sons of Israel. Yet the Talmud says that his mother was of noble descent, just like Mary, mother of Jesus, who was of noble descent, according to both Christians and Jews. Also, Balaam's mother is accused of fornicating with a carpenter. And obviously, this is the Jewish rabbis' attempts at accusing Joseph, the carpenter, of being the father of Jesus, as they want to deny the fact that Jesus was born miraculously. So they believe that Joseph was the father of Jesus. And so that's why they say Balaam's father was a carpenter. And here's the quote from the Talmud. It says regarding Balaam, in the beginning a prophet, in the end a sorcerer. Rav Papa said, as people say, she, meaning his mother, was the descendant of princes and rulers. She played the harlot with carpenters. So this shows that this Balaam has nothing to do with the biblical Balaam, but is a code. It's a secret reference for Jesus. It's a code word that the Jewish rabbis used for Jesus, son of Mary. So why do they claim that he died at the age of 33? And why do so many fake Christians say the same thing, even though the Bible never says that he was 33? So why is it that the Talmud and these fake Christian priests and pastors and preachers, why is it that they both insist that Jesus was 33 years old? What is the reason? Well, because Judaism and Christianity are supposed to be the opposites. The Old Testament is all about kill, 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 and the New Testament is like Buddhism. It says don't even defend yourself. If someone hits you, don't even hit him back. And so they're the opposites. They're like the yin and the yang, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And so you're either allowed to hate the number 33 or be confused by the number 33 into becoming a Christian, becoming a Masonic Christian, I should say. Not a Nestorian, but a Masonic Christian. Although I have to mention that even the Nestorians became Masonic later on. And that's how Christianity came into being. The Nestorians got so much mixed into the satanic secret societies until it transformed into what we call Christianity today. It happened slowly over time. I don't want to leave the impression that the Nestorians were some kind of like perfect Christians. Obviously, they had more truth in their books than Christians have today, and that's why so many of them used to convert to Islam. And that's why they did this. That's why they changed the Bible. That's why they associated Jesus with the number 33 and all these other things. And many people also don't know that the images of Jesus that we see today, those are actually the images of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Because if you look at old Muslim coins, you see that they used to have pictures of the Prophet on Islamic coins. So this man that you see with a beard and long hair, this is our Prophet. as it says in the hadith that the Prophet had a beard and long hair. But today we're told that no, Muslims believe that pictures are forbidden, pictures are haram, you're not allowed to draw pictures. But as you can clearly see, the early Muslims were okay with drawing pictures. In fact, not only were they okay with it, it's actually a good thing to draw pictures. Art is not only is art allowed in Islam, it's actually encouraged, because the Quran says that both Isa alayhi salam and Sulaiman alayhi salam were artists. They used to build images, they used to make images. Okay? But today we're told that no, Islam is just like Orthodox Judaism, thou shalt not make any graven images and so on. But that's not Islam. Islam is only against idols. And anything can be an idol. Even your sheikh can be an idol. Your ayatollah, your marja' taqlid, your rabbi, your priest. If you follow them blindly, then they are your idol. An idol doesn't mean a statue necessarily. An idol can be anyone. Anyone that you idolize is your idol. If you blindly follow someone, then that is your idol. And then you're a mushrik and you're a kafir. If you blindly follow a Shia marja' taqlid or a Sufi master or anyone, even if a Maliki scholar, a Shafi'i scholar, a Salafi scholar, a Sufi, anyone you follow blindly, that is your idol. Idols are not about pictures. Pictures are totally allowed according to the Quran, and the early Muslims knew this. The Abbasids later came and forbade drawing pictures and art and so on. And also, this is why Blue Lodge Freemasonry has only 3 degrees. But after the Freemasons joined the Scottish Rite, which is a Luciferian secret society, they then have to go up to 33 degrees of initiation. So both the number 3 and 33 are associated with Freemasonry. And Jesus was supposed to be 33 when he was killed at 3 o'clock. So he was 33 and it was at 3 o'clock, 33 and 3, just like Freemasonry. Do you want to know why? Because the word Allah alone looks like the Western number 3. And what does Satan want Christians to believe? Satan wants Christians to believe that Jesus is God, that Jesus is Allah. And what does the real name of God look like in Arabic and on the seal of the Prophet? It looks like the number 3. And Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, looks like 33. And likewise, Christians say Jesus was both God and he was also the final messenger of God. That he used to pray to God like a prophet, and he even called himself a prophet in the Bible, but Christians say that he was also God at the same time. So he was both God and the messenger of God. He was both 3 and 33 at the same time. You understand now? They are saying that he was both 3 and 33. Allah and Rasulullah. He was God and the messenger of God. That's why you have this contradictory doublethink in Christianity. It doesn't make any logical sense, but it feels right in the heart of misguided people. Because Christians are misguided or confused about their fitrah. Satan has confused the Christians about their fitrah. That's why they cannot tell the difference between Rasulullah and 33. And one of the reasons for this is that most Christians, the vast majority of Christians, don't understand Arabic. They can't even read Arabic. So they don't know that the thing that they feel about Jesus is actually in the Arabic language. When we write Muhammad Rasulullah, the way it is written on the seal of the Prophet. This is why it is important that we show them the seal of the Prophet, as it could reawaken their hearts. But of course, unfortunately, the media now associates this seal or stamp of the Prophet with ISIS. And the irony is that ISIS follow biblical laws more than they actually follow the Quran. In fact, ISIS are really a faction of the Crusaders, who were known as the Knights of Malta, as I've explained before, or Taoist Freemasonry. So again, if people follow ISIS, they fall into following a Christian secret society, which is secretly run by Taoist devils. This is why I'm using a different color for the stamp or seal of the Prophet than ISIS does. I'm using a brass or copper one instead of the black and white version used by ISIS. By the way, just a side note, it is much healthier to have a lot of brass and copper metals in your home than aluminium. It is much healthier to cook food or keep food in brass than aluminium and plastic and other garbage that they sell you at these big Zionist stores and shops. So try to find some old antique stuff made of brass, because today is you won't find much new stuff made of brass and copper. They've taken them out. They gotten rid of those companies that produce them, and they only now produce them for rich people. You may find them at a very high price if you travel a lot. You may find some place that rich people go to. They may sell something in brass or copper, but they're extremely rare today for the average person. Even though they're not that valuable. I mean, the metals, copper and brass, they're not that expensive, but today they only make them for rich people. They only make it for themselves. So use brass, iron and wooden spoons instead of aluminium and plastic. Spoons or forks, whatever you want to use, bowls, plates, dinner plates, whatever you're using, use iron, wood and brass. Obviously you don't want to cook with wood, but You may also remember that I explained on my past videos that Orthodox Judaism is deliberately very extreme and strict in order to associate piety and godliness as with opposition to the fitrah. They want to say that being a pious person or a godly person is the opposite of the fitrah, is the opposite of following your heart. Which is why, for example, they are against rainbows, which is also part of the fitrah and a real Muslim symbol. But the media instead associate rainbows with homosexuality and abortion and liberalism, and also with liberal Judaism as well, with the Jewish Illuminati, with satanic Judaism. So my point is that Orthodox Jews are deliberately made to be the opposite of the fitrah as reverse psychology against God and religious fundamentalism. Interestingly, they are also against the number 33, as I explained earlier, and they also claim that Jesus was killed at the age of 33. So why are they doing this? What is the reason? You see, they want to create a situation where you're either completely against the fitrah, in other words, you reject your fitrah, which is the meaning of kufr. When you say kafara or kufr, that means someone has rejected their fitrah. They have rejected the truth in their heart. So they want you to either reject your fitrah or follow a fake fitrah. So it's rejection of fitrah versus the fake fitrah. That's what they constantly do. And there are many fake fitrahs, like Iran is the fake fitrah, Nazi Germany, the swastika, those are the fake fitrah. And Judaism rejects the fitrah, and sometimes they reverse it. Sometimes it's the Nazis who are rejecting the fitrah, and it's Judaism that has a fake fitrah. But in either case, when you reject the fitrah, you have committed kufr, and when you are confused about your fitrah, then you are misguided. So they only want to keep you within this misguidance versus kufr or disbelief. Kufr means to disbelieve or cover up the light of truth in your heart. And it's very difficult not to do this today, because we are constantly told that piety and godliness and Islamic fundamentalism and even Jewish and Christian fundamentalism are against following your heart, and they're against beauty and against art and against music and against rainbows and against colors and against even Muslims. They're told that you have to wear plain clothes, you have to wear white plain clothes with a Jewish hat. Everyone is told this today, that you have to choose between opposing your fitrah or following a fake fitrah. And let me expose another thing here. If you watch my Soothsayers Conspiracy video series, the Soothsayers Conspiracy using Arnold Schwarzenegger, I explained in those videos that what they want to do is that not only do they want to copy the fitrah, but they also want to change the symbols of the fitrah in order to make the fitra more similar to themselves. So first we have the fitra, then they copy it, then they try to confuse the people who are following their fitra into doing things similar to the people who are copying the fitra. What do I mean by this? Well, I gave some examples about myself. I showed that they wanted me to do certain things in order to make me more similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger and other Hollywood actors. So I had to, for example, be a Shia. Even if I was going to oppose Zionism, even if I was going to be against them, I still had to be a Shia, or I had to join one of their groups, or I had to support Freemasonry, or I had to believe that there's this light Freemasonry who are fighting against the dark Freemasons. The light Illuminati versus the dark Illuminati. I had to join one of these groups, and likewise, they have added a thing to the Arabic language which didn't exist in old Arabic. If you look at old Arabic manuscripts, even the old Qur'ans, for example, the Qur'an that was written by Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anhu, you see that there was no shadda or tashdid. They call it shadda, and in Iran we call it tashdid. Above the word Allah, there's a thing that's known as the shadda, which also looks like the number 3. Okay, so when you put that over Allah, it becomes like 33. However, this free-looking symbol thing was added later to the Arabic language, and it's not in the oldest copies of the Quran. And also look at the Quran of Hassan ibn Ali radiallahu anhu, the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Hassan radiallahu anhu also didn't have a shadda or tashdid over the name of Allah. He also didn't use this. And Ali radiallahu anhu also. And look at the oldest Qurans. When you look at the Kufi language, Kufi manuscripts, when you look at the Arabian manuscripts, none of them had this shadda or tashdid. This was added much later. And so they try to make the fitra itself, the Quran itself, the word Allah itself, more similar to the things that they copied from Islam. So they try to make Islam look more like the number 33 than it is. The Islamic language, the Islamic words look even more like the number 33. Okay, so this is not them copying the fitra, this is them trying to alter what they were copying in the first place. Just that they want to associate me with many things so that I would resemble their movies that they made about me before I was born through the soothsaying. And I'm going to give you another example that I didn't mention on my Soothsayers Conspiracy video series, and that's from the video game Grim Fandango. And in this video game, there's this character called Manuel Calavera. He's the main character. And this guy is working for this company, and then he finds out that this company are bad people, and there's a resistance who are fighting against them. And there's a symbol, when he goes outside, he sees a symbol of a one eye on the wall. And notice it's a blue eye on the wall, just like the blue eye that I filmed myself next to when I was in Iran. Remember, I showed this blue eye on the wall in Iran, and notice that they're both blue and they're both on the wall. And later on, Manuel Calavera joins a resistance group, and he finds out that this resistance group are hiding underground. And the way they go underground is using this blue eye that's on the wall. So that blue eye, that one eye symbol, is the symbol of the resistance who are fighting against the bad guys.
Welcome to the club, Salvador Limones and guest.
Where are you taking me?
To the headquarters of the LSA.
LSA?
The Lost Souls Alliance. We're a small group, Manuel. We're always looking for new soldiers.
I was once a reaper like yourself, Manuel. But I uncovered a web of corruption in our beloved Department of Death.
I have reason to believe that the Bureau of Acquisitions is cheating the very souls it was chartered to serve. I think someone is robbing these poor, naive souls of their rightful destinies, leaving them no option but to march on a treacherous trail of tears, unprotected and alone, like babies, Manuel, like babies.
What's your evidence?
That's where you come in, Manuel. Or should I call you Agent Calavera?
And this resistance group are wearing green. And what's really amazing is that the last time I was in Iran, in around 2008 or so, there was shortly after this movement appeared called the Green Movement or Green Revolution. And the people who were bullying me were all supposedly right-wing conservatives. And they wanted to use reverse psychology on me to make me become a liberal, green revolution, green movement kind of person, a liberal pro-Zionist person. And you know that both sides in Iran are Zionists. And I knew this at that time. But they were trying to convince me that, no, look, the conservative Shias are very pro-Islam and they're very anti-Zionist and they're very pro-Sunni and they support the Sunnis. And now these Green Revolution people, these are pro-American, Israel and liberalism. And so because the conservatives who pretend to be pro-Sunni were bullying me, I was supposed to sympathize with the Green Revolution, with the liberal Shias. And at the same time, they had these fake attacks by this fake Sunni group called Jundullah, who supposedly were bombing innocent Shia civilians. And the conservative Shias were supposedly not taking serious action against them because the conservative Shias are supposedly pro-Sunni. So they didn't, massacre the Sunnis enough. Like the liberal Shias would have. And so I was like supposed to join this liberal green revolution, fake revolution against the conservatives. And what's really interesting is that when I refused, all of a sudden the whole story died out. The whole green revolution, the whole green movement just stopped. They stopped doing anything. They were having revolutions, they were having protests and revolts supposedly every day over and over and over. All of a sudden, boom. They stopped. Jundullah stopped attacking. The Jundullah leader was arrested and he admitted that he's an agent of America sent to attack Iran. And for some reason, when Iran finds out about this, they don't retaliate back against America. They're like, okay with it. Oh, okay, America is helping the Sunnis. So why are you killing the Sunnis but not their masters? That doesn't make sense. So anyway, yeah, they're all agents of America and Israel. All of them. They're all the same. America, Israel, Iran, Russia, they're all the same. And so they wanted me to think that they're different. And so it's really amazing that in this video game, Manuel Calavera joins the resistance who were green. And they call themselves the revolution. They say Viva Revolution. And they say it in French. And it's interesting that Khomeini was sent to Iran by France. And the green movement in Iran were saying that we are the real supporters of Khomeini. They were saying that this government, this conservative government, is too pro-Sunni, but we want to be pro-Khomeini. And it's interesting that Imran Hossein also claims that the conservative government of Iran is very pro-Sunni, even though they're not. They're actually very anti-Sunni. And so, but that's the propaganda. That's the supposed, version of events. And so, they wanted me to do these things, but I did the total opposite. Not only did I not join the revolution, the green revolution with the Freemason symbols and the one eye and the blue eye, I actually did the total opposite. I actually went and exposed them. And that's why they cancelled the whole plan. After I made that video in 2009 called Why Alex Jones is Wrong About Iran, where I showed these symbols and I showed these deceptions, all of a sudden the green movement, the green revolution just completely disappeared. And so I was supposed to be like Manuel Calavera, you see. That was their soothsaying for me. So, but you see, that what's interesting is that they tried to copy the things that they thought I was going to do through soothsaying. But when I didn't do those things, they tried to force me to do those things. They tried to deceive me into doing those things. And now they're trying to associate me with many things. Like they try to associate me with Hinduism. There was this guy who used to associate me with Hinduism, and he would show images of me and he would play Indian music in the background. And it's interesting that Khomeini is said to have been a secret Indian who was pretending to be an Iranian. So they're trying to associate me with Khomeini and with India, and with being an Indian. And as I said earlier, Indian is fairly free. And they want to associate me with many things right now. And the same way that they're trying to associate the word Allah with fairly free. By the way, this Grim Fandango game, like all the other movies and games that I've analyzed in the past, it begins with showing you a little bit of truth, and then it turns it around 180 degrees and becomes the opposite. So when you go and buy it on the DVD, not the DVD, on the box of the game, I remember that the box, and you can see the picture here, there was a picture of the bad guy on the box. You see the bad guy on the left, you can clearly see that he's a bad guy, and next to him is a Jewish star, or a Zionist or Yahudi star, okay, the Star of Remphan. And so he's being associated with the Israeli star, right? But not in the game. When you play the game, the exact opposite happens. You see that Manuel Calavera, he owns a restaurant, and the restaurant that he owns has that exact same symbol. But not the bad guys. The bad guys don't use that symbol. It's Manuel Calavera who is associated with that symbol in the middle of the game. But at the beginning, when you buy it, when you want to buy the game, they deliberately show you the opposite on the box. As I said, the advertisements try to copy the fitra, so they show the bad guys as being Zionists, whereas in the game it's the opposite. And not only that, in Manuel Calavera's restaurant, his hotel and restaurant, whatever it is, you also see that he has another symbol, and it's a symbol of the pyramid and the one eye. So Manuel Calavera is associated with the Zionist star and with the pyramid and the one eye, just as they associated the Gold Ranger in the Power Rangers with the pyramid, as I explained on my previous videos. So you see, it becomes the total opposite of what it appears to be when you first go and buy the game, when you see the box. I remember these games used to be in these big cardboard boxes in the past, during the 1990s, when I actually bought the game. At that time, they had these huge boxes in the stores and in the shops. And yeah, so you think you're buying an anti-Zionist game subconsciously, on a subconscious level. Your fitra is inclined towards it. But when you play it, it takes you in the opposite direction, as usual. And another example is 9/11. I made a video about the Lord of the Rings before, but I didn't finish it. But one of the things I want to say about that video is that look at what they did. They accused Muslims of carrying out the attacks on September the 11th, right? Against the Twin Towers. But that movie, Lord of the Rings, is also about two towers. There's these two towers that must be destroyed. So they try to say that, oh, the Mujahideen, who are the only true Muslims, remember, the true Muslims are the Mujahideen. So they try to associate the Mujahideen with the destruction of the two towers. So when the Mujahideen said that we didn't destroy the Twin Towers, and when the Islamic Emirate, the Taliban, denied it, Osama bin Laden denied it, they tried to associate the destruction of the towers with them anyway. So you see, when they fail to make something happen, they just say, no, that's who you are. And they also made this fake conspiracy theories where they said, okay, maybe 9/11 was a conspiracy, but it was a conspiracy by Osama and the Taliban with the American government against Iran and Russia. So they still did it. The terrorists still did it. You see, all the shields, almost all of these disinformation agents, like Alex Jones and all of them, they were Webster Tarpley, the Shias, the communists. They were all saying that no, Al Qaeda really did it, but Al Qaeda did it with the help of Dick Cheney. So they still did it because they have to associate the fitra, which is the Mujahideen, the true fitra, or is with the Mujahideen. They have to associate the fitra with the destruction of the Twin Towers in order to make their subliminal messages for the Lord of the Rings work better on the public. So you see, they do it in both ways. Sometimes they copy the fitra, and sometimes they try to lie about the fitra to make the fitra become more similar to their movies and their propaganda and their religions and their philosophies. Just as they did with Osama bin Laden. Sometimes they lied about sometimes they copied Osama bin Laden using Obama, as I explained on my video, Soothsayer's Conspiracy, using Obama. Sometimes they were copying Osama using Obama, and sometimes they were lying about Osama to make him sound like Obama, like having the fake Osama talk about global warming or climate change, which is what Obama always talked about. You see, so they do it both ways. It's both ways. Sometimes it's Obama copying Osama. Sometimes it's Osama being lied about to make him sound like Obama, to make him seem like or look like Obama. And remember, I showed examples where they were trying to associate me in their movies with temporary marriage or with Russia. You see, I had to support Russia. And that's why I kept getting warnings on YouTube. Really, I mean, during like 2010 until 2016, I got a lot of warnings from shields and disinformation agents who were telling me that if I don't support Russia, they're going to delete my YouTube videos, which they did. And why did they want to associate me with Russia? It's because Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the role of a Russian in the movie Red Heat. You see, and so because of the movie Red Heat, I had to also support Russia. And because of all these movies, other examples that I gave, you know, I had to support the one eye symbol, I had to support temporary marriage. But I did the opposite. I actually exposed these things instead of joining them. It's not that I just didn't do them. I actually did the opposite. I actually crushed them. And that's why they had to, eventually they put so much pressure on YouTube to delete my videos. And I had to also support at least one of the groups that use the pyramid symbol, such as Iran, such as America, such as Bashar Assad. And when I didn't, Golbuddin Hekmatyar recently came and actually copied one of my videos. Inshallah, I will show this later. But Golbuddin Hekmatyar is one of the fake mujahideen who uses the pyramid symbol. He actually uses the pyramid symbol on his videos. And he actually copied one of my videos recently. He copied what I said about Osama bin Laden being possessed. Not that part, but he copied a part of that video. Inshallah, I will show it later. But you see, so when I refused to join Iran, they said I have to support America. When I refused to support America, they said Iran. And when I didn't join any of them, all these shields were telling me, oh, you have to support Bashar Assad. And then when I made the video series, The Real Truth About Assad, they started saying that, oh, you have to support. Now they want to associate me with Golbuddin Hekmatyar. That's why Hekmatyar is now copying me. And I'll show the example later on another video. I don't want to get into it here. But now they're trying to associate me with Hekmatyar and with these, you know, these fake mujahideen who are making peace. You know, you have to remember, it's Hekmatyar and the TTP and ISIS who are making peace. It's not the real mujahideen who are making peace right now in 2020, 19 years after 9/11, after the 19 hijackers. It's the fake ones. It's Hekmatyar, it's ISIS, it's the TTP. It's these CIA agents. These are the CIA agents. It's not that the Mujahideen are CIA agents. It's the fake Mujahideen who are agents of Iran and the CIA and Israel and Russia at the same time. They're not separate groups. They're one group. And anyway, you know, they wanted me to support, you know, either the right eye or the left eye, the right eye Dajjal or the left eye Dajjal, so that they can associate me either with Terminator 1 or Terminator 2, for example. And you know, there's a lot of other examples. I'm just giving the Terminator movies as one of the examples where it's the left eye versus the right eye. But the truth is that they're both their own symbols. They're both, you know, this is Dajjal of the East and the Dajjal of the West. They're both satanic. See, at the very least, they have to associate me with the bad guys. If I'm not going to be one of their good guys, if I'm not going to be their agents, then I have to at least be with their bad guys. At least I have to be with, you know, the Nusra Front, the fake Al-Qaeda. You know, at the very least, I have to support Khamenei and the conservative Shias. If I'm not going to become a liberal, satanic, Kabbalist Shia, at least I have to be a conservative Shia. Even though they're all the same, and I know that they're all the same. Even if they weren't all the same, they're all kuffar and munafiqeen anyway. But not only are they all kuffar, they're all the same. Their ideology is the same. I've read their books. I've studied their ideology. They pretend like they have the opposite ideologies, but even their ideology is the same. It's not even different types of kufr. It's the same ideology behind the scenes. And of course, I did none of these things that they wanted me to do, and I even focused on exposing the very same groups and symbols instead to completely ruin their fitra, confusion, deception. By the way, another example of them trying to actually change the fitra itself, the true religion itself, to make us resemble them even more, not just to copy us, but to make us appear like them. Another example is what they've done with the name of Allah. They write Allah in the form of a snake. If you pay close attention, you see that they even put a head of a snake. You see, that's not Arabic. There's no such thing in the Arabic language. that thing that they add on the top right of Allah, of the L of Allah, that's the head of that which looks like the head of a snake. That doesn't exist in the Arabic language. For those of you who don't speak Arabic, especially for Christians who might be deceived by this, that doesn't exist in the Arabic language, although today it's almost everywhere. It's in Iran, it's in Saudi Arabia, it's everywhere. It's even on some of the stuff that I have. Some of the things that I use in my house, some of the Islamic things that I have, they have them. I'm throwing them away. I noticed it and I started getting rid of them. But if you watch some of my old videos, even I had this on when I would show something that said Allah on it. Sometimes it would be in this shape, and it's in the shape of a snake. And remember, in Freemasonry, they worship this so-called snake god, which is actually a shaitan. It's actually one of the symbols of Freemasonry. This satanic snake, which is actually Iblis, or the actual devil, or Lucifer. And we see it on Imran Hussein, of course. And we see it in Iran, we see it in Saudi Arabia, all of them. All these kuffar and munafiqeen use this symbol. And they've done this on purpose. And I can go into great detail about how they've done this with the name of Allah. Inshallah, I will make a separate video about this in the future. But you see what they're doing is on two levels. They copy the fitrah, and then they change the very thing that they're copying to make it look even more like their ideology. And that's also why they constantly associate Islam with the moon, because the Kabbalist Jews worship a moon goddess, which they call Shekinah. Shekinah is their moon goddess. It has nothing to do with Islam. Don't be deceived by these Sufis, by these Batini Sufis, by these Berelvis and fake Naqshbandis and these liberal Shias. This symbol has nothing to do with Islam. The moon, we're neutral towards the moon. The moon is like the sun. It's nothing special. It's just a part of nature. But for them, the moon is a goddess. And so when you see these Sufis bowing to the moon in their fake mosques, they put it in the direction of Qibla, they put it on the top of their mosques as well. They put it almost everywhere, in fact. This has nothing to do with Islam. This is, again, their attempt to make Islam appear like them. So that, because in your heart, in your fitrah, you hate them, so you get confused into hating Islam instead. But remember, the moon symbol is their moon goddess Shekinah. It has nothing to do with Allah. Allah is not a moon god or a sun god or Saturn or Venus or Jupiter or Mars or anything like that. Allah is the creator of the entire universe. We worship the light of the heavens and the earth, the creator of everything. That is who Allah is. Allah is not the moon goddess or a snake, na'udhu. In fact, not only do we not worship the moon, I'm sure most of you have never heard this, but our Prophet actually warned us about moon magic or moon sorcery. I know this sounds strange to a lot of people because both Muslims and non-Muslims today are told that Islam is some kind of moon religion. And Islam is all about moon symbols and moon everything. And yet, we have an authentic hadith and an ayah from the Quran that all of you have read, but you don't know what it means, because they don't tell you in these fake mosques, in these moon-worshipping mosques. They don't tell you the meaning of this ayah. I'm sure you have all read this ayah. It's one of the shortest surahs in the Quran. Almost all of you have memorized it. Almost all Muslims have memorized this ayah. And it's أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب, and from the evil of darkness when it settles. And look at what the Prophet said. He said, O Aisha, do you seek refuge with Allah from the evil of this? For indeed, this is Qasego Iza Wagab, the darkened one as it darkens. So not only do we not worship the moon, we actually seek refuge in Allah from the darkness of the moon. And if you read this entire surah, you see that it's talking about sorcery. The next ayah is also talking about sorcery and magic. So we are talking about seeking refuge with Allah from sorcery, and one of the forms of sorcery is associated with the darkness of the moon. And yet we're told that Islam is some kind of moon worshipping religion, and Muslims have to put the moon symbol everywhere in direction of Qibla. Yet we actually see that there is a sorcery associated with the moon. And that's what you're under when you go into these fake mosques and you're praying behind these satanic imams. They're sorcerers. They're practicing sorcery on you. That's why they're performing the salah incorrectly, like the Khawarij. That's why the salah today is almost identical to the salah of the Khawarij. It's a fake salah. These are fake mosques. Or maybe you can call them mosques, but they're not real masajid. They're not real. This is all fake. These religious leaders, these imams, these mosques, these are moon temples. These are not mosques. These are not masajid. These are temples dedicated to the moon goddess, and they're practicing sorcery on you. The darkened one as it darkens, the darkness of the moon, the sorcery of the moon. And this type of sorcery is what is promoted in Freemasonry and other occult groups, such as, and listen to what L. Ron Hubbard said. L. Ron Hubbard was a Scientologist who was connected to Aleister Crowley, and Aleister Crowley was a Freemason. And listen to what L. Ron Hubbard says. He actually associates the moon with the number 33.
Well, there's stations on the moon, all right. But on the other side of the moon, there's also a colony back there on the other side of the moon. You'll occasionally find a Between Lives tract. There's an asylum up there. You'll occasionally find a girl who has a messed body up there on the other side of the moon. That moon, other side of the moon, is Space Station 33.
You see, this is the reason why many of the shills and disinformation agents also focus on this moon landing being fake, and they keep saying that we never landed on the moon and it's impossible for man to land on the moon, and so NASA faked the moon landing. And the funny thing is that this is one of those conspiracy theories that you can find in many bookshops, in many official, Zionist-run, Freemason-run bookstores, in libraries. These are the type of conspiracy theories that you're allowed to see, and which they actually interview a lot on television. In fact, the first time I heard about the moon landing being fake conspiracy theory, the first time I heard it was on TV when I was a kid. I remember watching a documentary on TV about how some people say the moon landing was faked. And so this is one of those conspiracy theories that we're allowed to hear and we're allowed to discuss. Even though we're told we're wrong by TV because they want to create a fake opposition. But you see, what the truth is that they have been on the moon. In fact, they've been on the moon for a very, very long time. The moon landing video that we were shown on TV was indeed fake. That was fake, yes, but they faked it so that we would think that we've never been on the moon. So they created a fake opposition. One side says we have never been on the moon and the moon landing was fake. And the other side says, oh, we have been on the moon and there's nothing on the moon. There's nothing going on there. It's just some empty space and there's nothing. It's just rocks and nothing useful. But the reality is that they have been on the moon the devils, the shayateen, have been on the moon for a very, very, very long time, for thousands of years. And they're practicing sorcery there. And if I tell you what they're actually doing there, many of you are not going to believe me because it's some crazy stuff going on the moon. But it's to do with sorcery, as it says in the hadith in Sunan Tirmidhi. They are practicing sorcery on the moon, and they've been there for a very long time. And they want us to think that we've never been there, or we've been there and there was nothing there, so we just came back and it's not interesting, it's boring, it's just some dark space and there's nothing going on, nothing to see here. Move away, nothing to see here. And it's interesting that when we look at this here, this is the moon monster. And what do we see again? 33. Again, we see the 33 associated with the moon. So that's why they associate Islam with the moon, so that we become like these Satanists, like these moon magicians, like these devils, like these sorcerers, like these monsters who are on the moon, and these sorcerers who practice moon magic. And many of the fake things that you see in Islam today, many of the fake rituals and the fake way of praying, the fake Hajj, is all to do with moon sorcery. It's to do with practicing sorcery on us. It's to do with deceiving us with this sorcery in the name of Islam. That's why when you go to this fake Hajj in Saudi Arabia, there are all these moon symbols everywhere. And then you go and prostrate there to the moon, even though the Quran says do not prostrate to the sun nor to the moon. But you go to this fake Hajj in Saudi Arabia and they put a moon symbol in the direction of Qibla, in the direction of the Kaaba, of their Kaaba. They put a moon symbol. And so you're prostrating to the moon. Do you see what's going on? We're practicing moon magic and we think that we're practicing Islam. Your Salah is fake. Your Hajj is fake. Your Ramadan, your fasting is all fake. This whole moon religion, this whole Sufi, Shia, Saudi moon religion is fake. This is not Islam. And by the way, another example of them changing our religion so that it would fit into their sorcery and magic is, as I said earlier, the word Mecca. That's why they changed the word Mecca to Mecca. Because when you write it as Mecca, the M looks like a 3 and the E also looks like a 3, so it becomes 33. And so you see, they even misspell the word Mecca for us. It's not just these bingo places, these gambling places. If you look at the maps, if you look at books that are published today, they all write Mecca as Mecca. So they didn't just, write it as Mecca for their gambling. They wrote it as Mecca for us too. So you see, they changed the spelling in our religion as well. As I said, they do it both ways. So they copy us, and then they also alter us. They alter our religion. They make us associated with the moon. They spell Mecca as Mecca, and they also try to subliminally associate us with them so that people will become confused. So that's why they tell us to wear Jewish hats, so that people who are opposed to Judaism would instead be opposed to Islam, so that people will be confused about their fitra, and instead of hating Zionism, they would hate Muslims. Instead of going to the real Mecca, they would go and gamble at these Mecca bingo places. So it works on both levels. It works on two levels. Copy the fitra and then also change that which reminds people of the fitra. Change the real fitra, the real dhikr. So they do it both ways. Censor the real dhikr or change it, and then copy the original, so it becomes really, really confusing.
You can't take my powers, Rita. I'm the Green Ranger. Sword sequence complete. Lock on and fire!
I guess this is it, huh? Well, it's been great.
Oh, Tommy.
So you want to see the real power morpher? The real power coin? It's morphin' time.
إنهم قادمون إنهم قادمون
They know the fate of the world is lying in their hands. They know to only use their weapons for defense. No one will ever take them down. The power lies on their side.
Hey, Billy. What's up? What happened to you?
Are you okay? We were worried about you.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I just had some things I needed to take care of.
What's going to happen next?
That's the one thing about the Power Rangers. You never know what's gonna happen next.